everybody, this is Tanya with Riley & Company. I just wanted to say hi before we get started. For those of you that don't know what Riley & Company is, we are a rubber stamp company and we are based in Kansas. So I am coming to you this morning. It may be afternoon where you're at, but I'm coming to you this morning from my studio in Kansas. So let's get started with our make and take. Hang on while I get you over here a second. As you can tell, my space is very messy, and that's okay. You know, it's something about creativity or something like that. I'm not quite for sure. There we go. All right, so this is the card that you have from Riley & Company that you will be making this morning, this afternoon, this evening, depending on when you're watching this. What you have is your pieces of your card. And it may just look like they're just cut out pieces, but these are actually from the stamp sets that created this card. And there's 2 of them, and they're $16 a piece. So you get images from both sets, and they're already cut for you, which means the die cuts as well. So it's about $55, $60 that if you wanted to make more, you could purchase them. But if you just want to make this one, it's a really good deal. You get all of these images pre-cut and pre-stamped for you. So let's get started. All right. So this is what we're making, and this is what you have. Okay. So the first thing that we're going to do, obviously, is if your card is not folded, we're going to fold your card in half. Okay, then I'm going to use my zip dry. If you guys do not know about zip dry, this is the most wonderful adhesive on the planet. I wish I had invented it. Wish I had stock in the company, but I don't. I just use it all the time. I had a store and we used it then too for 11 years. This is what our house glue was. So the big deal about zip dry is it's almost like rubber cement. Okay, and all you need to do is put it just around the outside of your card. Okay, now what would happen if that was a tape runner or double stick tape and it accidentally got on that way, right? There's nothing you could do about it. You'd have to tear up the bottom of your paper or the top. The reason I like zip dry, and I do this as a public service announcement for everyone, find it where you can. My favorite glue. Just wanted to share that with you. And if you get a little over the edges, which I always do because I like to seal the edges, you just rub it off because it's liquid. It's liquid. And it's like rubber cement. It's amazing. Love this stuff. Anyway, so we are going to continue. One thing I did not mention before we started was that you are going to need a liquid adhesive for this make and take. And you are also going to need foam tape or pop dots or something like that. You're going to need a pair of scissors. And these are my 2 favorite little take everywhere tools, Glossy Accent and Stardust. These are optional, of course. You don't need those. But I put glitter on everything, so. All right, the next thing that we are going to do is we're going to leave this for later, okay, because we're going to tuck our trees in behind. So we're going to go ahead and color some pieces. All right, and well, let's start with the trees. A lot of people ask me what I use as a coloring mechanism or as a coloring tool. And I like Copics. It's only because I have the most of them. I'm not really partial to Copics, but I do like alcohol markers. And alcohol markers are different than dye-based markers because they blend so much better. And a lot of people ask what type of ink that you should use with alcohol markers. And there's several different kinds. You've got your first editions, you've got Copics, you've got your Studio 71s, you've got some other ones that I just bought and I can't remember the name, but the deal with them is they're alcohol, so you need a dye-based ink. So this is water-based, this is alcohol-based, and the 2 don't mix, and that's why you need it. If you use something like a StazOn, it has got chemicals in it, and this has chemicals in it, and they'll run. So you just want to make sure that you use the proper ink. A lot of people are afraid of Copics because they've been told they need so many colors to blend. It's not true. I'll show you how later. If you have one, you can still blend it and get your shadows. So we're going to start these trees. You should have 2 sets of 3 trees there, okay? I'm going to do them both at the same time. And what we're going to do, and this sounds really weird, I'm starting with a yellow, I know. And people ask me what my colors are. I will tell you the colors as I go, but I just grab colors that I like. I couldn't tell you what any of these colors are except for my browns, and they're the only browns I ever use. That's why I know their color. So I'm starting with a Y08, a yellow, okay? And I'm just running, if you can see, I'm just making marks in here. And you'll understand why in a second. So that was Y08s. And I'm going to come in with my yellow-green, my YG03. All right? If you were like me forever and a day, I was always trying to figure out which end with the Copics was the chisel ends and which was the marker ends. And someone told me one day, always look for the ring, the gray ring around your marker, and it's always that end. Who knew? I didn't know. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're just going to come back in. And I tend to color very quickly. So if you need to hit pause, but I color these in, I go off the edges, I color everything in, and I go down here, and I'm gonna color over, I'm gonna color outside the lines, I'm breaking all kinds of rules here, right? And over the yellow. All right, so I'm gonna do the same thing for this. All right, if you notice, I'm not being too diligent here because this is just a base color that I want. And I put the yellow in there because trees are not all one color. Okay? So there's your yellow-green on it so far. Now, if I wanted to shade, if I didn't have another color of yellow-green to go darker with or a different green, I could come back in for a second time with the same marker. And look at that. I can create my shadows with the same marker. It's just the second round of color. And that's how you do that. You can get 2 or 3 shades just by using it once or using it twice or using it 3 times to make it darker. I am, however, going to grab just a green, and this is G14, okay? And this is a different green. It has no yellow in it. So I'm going to come back in, and these are going to be, I'm not going over every single space. I'm letting some of this yellow-green come through. But I'm still getting quite a bit of it. All right? Especially in the lower areas where it's going to be more shady. Right down in here. Okay. Just like that. So you have some of the yellow and the yellow-green showing through from before. All right. I'm going to do the same thing real quick here. I just don't want anything to look too uniform is all. And it's very random because trees are random. Okay, so then you've got that. Now that may be enough for you, but I'm going to pull in one more green. And you do not have to, and it can be any darker green that you want. Okay, and this is YG63, and it's a little darker. You could pull in, you know, a darker color like a G17. You could pull in any color that's just darker than the 2 that you started with. And we are just going to, now I'm only going to come in under the tufts that are supposed to stand out and along this bottom here. Okay, so this is my shadows. This is what I'm creating here. It's just my little shadows. I so badly want to say happy trees, so I just did. And you know, along the edges, if there's some pieces that are outside the lines, that's great because it just creates shadow. And that's what we're aiming for. Underneath and underneath. Not a whole lot of this color, unless you want dark trees. Okay, so there we go. I'm gonna add some more back in here on those. Back in there. So there we have our trees. Super easy. So there are our trees for our tree trunks. These are my two favorite Copic colors of all time, E33 and E35. They are Riley's colors, if you know Riley the Moose. Riley the Moose. Those are the colors I always use on Riley, E33, E35. If you only have E33, you can get it done with E33, but I'm going to show you here. So all I'm going to do is completely cover the branches, okay? Or the branches. How about the tree trunks? That works. Okay, all in this one color. Now, if this is the only color that you have and you don't have a 35 or a darker, you can still come back and shade with it, just like you did with the trees. Okay, you can still shade with it. That's perfectly fine. But I do have an E35, so I'm going to use it, and I'm only going along the left side. Under here, I'm going to fill in the whole thing, but on this, I'm only going on the left side. And you will see in a minute or so when this soaks in, that the great thing about alcohol markers is they blend together so beautifully that there's no harsh lines. And that's what I absolutely love them. Okay, there you go. Now, when it comes to trees, I always like to add a bit of gray. And the reason is that trees are not all brown if you look at them. So we are going to come in and just the littlest line along that side, you can fill in, but just the littlest edge, I'm going to come back in and give it a little bit of gray. Do you guys see that? I hope you can see that. Perfect. So there's our trees. Okay, we're just going to set those aside. And let's move on to the rest of it. Now, remember when I said that I loved E33, and I do. So my little North Pole, if you can see this, looks like, I think, gingerbread. So that is kind of what I was going for. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to come in, and I'm just going to, and I am a very fast colorer. I run at about 110 miles an hour on pretty much everything I do. So if you need to slow the video down or pause it while you get caught up with me, that's okay too. I hope you guys are having a really good day where you are. We started off with thunderstorms early this morning, and it looked like it was going to be a very dreary day. And now the sun is shining. And it's telling me it could be a pool day. So I just went underneath all those. And then I'm just going to come around. Just outline everything here. And when you're using alcohol markers in big spaces, go in circles like that. It helps it blend smoother. Other than straight lines, you'll see a really nice effect if you just blend it. If you notice when I'm doing this, it's okay if I go outside the lines. I'm not that hard on myself. I sent my niece a card one time several years ago, and she told her dad, she goes, "Oh, this must be from Aunt Tan." And he said, "How do you know that?" "Oh, there's coloring outside the lines." So there you have it, right? All right, so now we have this and we don't have any shadows, correct? So watch this. If you still have the same, if you only have this one marker, or any color for that matter of alcohol marker, you can just go back in and go over it. and you will see a shadow. And it's super easy to create shadows like that with just one marker. Sometimes I've heard people say, oh no, you have to buy too many to get shadows and stuff. No, 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 no. Okay, so when it does this, I just brush it down a little bit to blend it in. And see, now we have a little bit of a shadow. Okay, that'll smooth itself out. All right, so with that, I could just stop. If I wanted to, again, I could come back in with the same marker, or I can go back in with my E35 that I used on my trees. And now I'm just gonna do spots under here. Just little bits. I'm not bringing it down much past the light bulbs. Oops, got it on my snow, but that's okay because we're gonna cover it up. And I'm making all of you people out there that are just perfect colorers. Very nervous, aren't I? Sorry. All right, so I don't want to forget to do my chimney. So we're just gonna go along like this. And the reason I don't care about my snow, folks, is because we're gonna put something on top of it. Now see the little lines? I'm just gonna come in and do my shadow with my other marker. Now this, I kind of want to make it look like bricks. So I'm going to bring in just another color. You do not have to do this, but I'm bringing in an E08 because it looks like clay. It's called brown, but it's more of a red. And I'm just bringing it in just random places, okay? And it looks spotted right now, but it's really not going to be because we're going to take our original E33 and just completely go back over it so it all blends back in. Okay? So that is the base of our house. Easy peasy. I'm going to use the same E33 on my North Pole and do my signs real quick. All right. Now comes the fun part. We are going to grab, and you will see these. I just have these markers. I don't know what the colors are. These are first edition. I have no idea where I got them, but these are just alcohol markers that I have. So I just grabbed Christmassy colors that I liked, okay? So again, same rule goes, really. This has got a brush tip, and these are little pointy tips, which is why I like them for what I'm gonna do. And I'm just gonna go in, and I'm gonna color 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And then while I'm here, I'm going to come in and get my Christmas wreath. Okay. And that one's done. And then I've got an orange, because everybody needs, you know, orange lights too. And I just go right after what I just did. And we'll go blue lights. And see, I don't even have to worry about coloring on them earlier because I'm just going to color over. And I'm going to get purple next. Oops, missed that one, didn't I? So we'll do that purple, and we'll do this yellow. Okay, so while we've got the yellow out, we're just going to come in and do the windows. Okay, so we've got that done, and our little North Pole letters are going to be yellow. And I know people are just going crazy right now because I'm just really just going over it and I'm not paying attention very much. Yep, I'm outside of the lines, but it's okay because I'm going to come back in with a different color later. And the same goes for this Santa's Workshop. They're not real easy to color in because they're tiny, but it's okay because I'm going to come in with a darker color later and go over the edges. And it's going to hide it. So we're good to go on that. And the one color that we have left is our red. Now, on the North Pole right here, there's a little red. Oops. It's a candy cane. It's supposed to be a candy cane. So that's going to be white. This is going to be red. or you can do it the other way if you want. Okay, so that's a candy cane stripe right there. And we're going to do these candy canes. So we're going to just start at the tip. Requires a very, very light touch. There we go. And the bow is red. All right, and these are red on the little sign. So we're just going to color these in. It looks like a lot of coloring, but it's really not. Okay, so those are done. Now the only thing left to do, let's see, are the gumdrops. And what I did with those gumdrops are kind of pastel-y to me. They weren't the deeper colors from before. So I'm just going to put a very light lavender for this gumdrop and a very light pink. And a light green. And there's our gumdrops. All right. So now all we have to do is color in our doors and our windows. And the color that I've chose for that is a really fun teal color. Just because it stands out. I like it because it stands out. And it is BG15. There's a lot of fun teal colors out there, but BG15 is what I'm using. So we are just going to go around the windowsills. And see that brown that I had got on there earlier? No problem, covers it right up. And go in here. Whoop, there's a little edge there. We do a lot of kits like this, and we can't decide whether to send images already colored in or images you have to color, or images that you have to color. And I think I'm going to put a poll out on our Facebook group, Riley and Company, and just see that if you got kits, would you rather have them colored in or would you rather color them in yourselves? Me personally, I would rather color them in myself. Okay, so I have this done. Oops. And I'm going to go on to this other one and let this just kind of dry a little bit. And this is where I'm going to be a little more cautious when I go around it. Not a lot, because it's me, but you can be. And it takes a very, very light hand. I did get some Spectrums the other day, alcohol markers. And they're the sets that have, or they're the markers that have 3 different colors in one marker. And they are little fine tips. So I'm excited to kind of use those in their alcohol as well. All right, and this sign goes over there, and we'll catch this end. And finally, all we have left to do is this little North Pole sign. All right, and we're just going to put the little dots and the O's and the P's. All right, so there we go, and we have everything colored. Now, if you want to use the same marker and create shadows under the easement, this is the time you do that. You know there's going to be shadows back in here, right? So we're just going to come back in for the first time and do that. They're going to be shadows. Uh-oh, I did color outside the lines on that one. And there's going to be back in this corner, right? Okay. Just a little bit of shading. Now, if I want to try to fix this right here, I'll show you guys how to do it. I know how to fix a lot of things because I mess a lot of things up when it comes to markers. You can always take the other color and just bring it back in and try to blend it. And if that won't work, actually, I'm really not going to worry about it. But if that won't work, and it's on this white, there's a little thing with Copic markers called a colorless blender. All right. I call it a magic eraser. That's what I always learned it as. There's no color in this whatsoever, but it's got liquid. And if you just go on top of where your mistake is, it pushes all that color out. Now, if you can see it, push the color out here. And this is too small of a space. So I am not going to do that with this, and I'm just going to live with my candy cane. All right. So we have this done. Everything's colored in. Yay. Now we are going to add the piece to the house. You will notice that I didn't color these lights in when we were doing these, right? The reason is we're going to cut them off. Okay. The reason that we're cutting them off is we want to create a little 3D effect by stacking the snow on the roof. Okay. All right. So now I have none here. All right. And what we need to do now is that's when our double stick tape comes into play. So we're just going to cut off a piece and lay it on here. Cut off another piece for the top. All right. And we are getting really close to time. So I'm just going to pop these up. I'm going to show you that we are just going to take everything that we've done and now just assemble it on our card, okay? I'm going to stick this down with zip dry, move it around. I'm going to take these trees and attach them over here. You can tuck them under the snow if you choose. Like that. We are going to take our house, and the remaining two trees, we are literally going to cut in half along that line, just up like that. Okay. Put a little bit of glue here, and we're going to tuck it in behind our tree. Just like that, and wipe away that glue. Okay, and then we're going to take the other tree that we cut off. Okay, and stick it back in there. So it looks like he's in a forest. We're just going to attach this to our card down towards the bottom. And the last thing we have to put on is the Santa's Workshop sign, which I am going to do this foam tape. Pop that on there. And the North Pole sign is going to get popped up as well. Just like this. And when you get down those little pieces, they're just like crazy to get them that teeny tiny. And yes, I know they make little squares, but gee, that'd be too easy. And you know, why spoil the fun of putting yourself through torture trying to get a piece of foam tape that small? But after making this card several times, you better believe I'm going to have some of those next time I go in. And you can put your North Pole sign right there in front. And now the only thing to do is to come back with your stickles. Make sure that you add plenty to make it look like snow. Okay. Stickles also acts as glue sometimes, so I always put them everywhere. Put them on the cheese, along the snow lines. You can put them on your snowflakes as well. My crystal or my glossy accents, I put in the windows and on my candy canes. Okay, and that is it. If you want to finish your card, I encourage you. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. And thanks for joining me. Tanya with Riley & Company signing off. Have a great day, folks.